Programa ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Balita ng Probiotics. Ito ay ang bagong food supplement na gawa sa mga piping gulay at prutas at dumaan sa isang masusing proseso para mapangalagaan ang inyong pag-gusto. Ang Balita ng Probiotics ay dinisenyo para sa kalusugan ng ating tiyan, tulungan ng pagkuha ng sapat na nutrisyon at ang pagpapalabas sa ating sistema ng mga nakakasirang toxin. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may iba't ibang disenyo at salita base sa inyong pangangailangan. Mula sa boost para sa mga bata, fortitude, boost to break, miracle fruit, perimidin, at ang pinakabago, liver fruit. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may pagmamalaki na produktong gawa sa kanya. Ito ay mabibili sa Lasien, Geta Road sa Sebastian Phase 3, Pinauganan, Tarlac City. At para sa mga malalayong lugar, mabibili ang produkto ng Equilibrium Probiotics sa Lazada. Ito ay eksklusibong gawa ng Malu Reyes Nure. Ano pang hinihintay nyo, mga kasangga? Hala, bili na. MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga. Hatid sa inyo ni Kuya Dong.
Magandang umaga po mga kasangga. Nandito na naman po ang inyong MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga. Samahan nyo na lang po ang inyong Kuya Dong sa mahigit sa kalahating oras ng pagbabalita. At mukhang ngayon pong araw na ito gaganda na po ang taya ng panahon dahil wala naman pong namumuong bagyo. Kung meron man po, medyo malayo-layo pa. At yung pong mga may pasok, no? Iwas na po muna yung mga mag-a-absent dahil ilang araw din po kayong walang pasok. Baka hindi nyo makumpleto yung araw na kakailanganin para kayo maka-move forward sa next level. Kaya iwas po muna ng absent sa mga lalong-lalo sa mga elementary and high school students natin. Bago po natin simulan ang ating pagbabalita, samahan niyo po muna ako sa isang maikling panalangin. Sa ngalan ng Ama at ng Anak ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Mahal naming lumikha, maraming salamat po sa bagong araw na ipinagkaloob ninyo sa amin. Sa mapayapang gabing lumipas at sa patuloy na pagbuhos ng iyong mga biyaya sa amin at sa aming bayan. Naway ipagkaloob mo pa po sa amin ang lakas at tibay ng loob upang mapaglabanan ng kasamaan at manatili po kami sa paggawa ng mabuti sa kapwa at sa pagsunod sa inyong itinurong tamang landas. Lahat po ng gawain namin, inaalay namin sa iyong anak na si Jesus, naming Panginoon. Amen. Sa ngalan ng Ama at ng Anak ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Bago po natin na simulan ng ating pagbabalita, good morning muna kay favorite baker Rochelle Tayag. Maraming salamat sa iyong maagang pagsama sa ating programang MSB Kape at Balita. Ayusin lang po natin. Sensya na. Araw po ng Huwebes, September 7, 2023. At ito po yung ating summary of our top stories for today. PNP seeks Interpol help in Teves manhunt. DTI rice price cap may last for a month. Senate to review confidential funds of OVP, DepEd Zubiri. DNA evidence clears U.S. man of rape, charged 47 years later. NPD probes Valenzuela road rage incident. LTO to extend driver's licenses by 1 year. 30 families homeless in Quiapo fire. And in sports, relentless Canada proves Arsenal in semis berth clinching win versus Slovenia. And our top story is brought to us by Equilibrium Probiotics. Please scan the QR code to see its health benefits. PNP seeks Interpol help in Teves manhunt. Report by Emmanuel Tupas to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. The Philippine National Police has sought the assistance of the International Criminal Police Organization, or Interpol, in the manhunt for expelled Negros Oriental Congressman Arnolfo Teves Jr. after a Manila court issued a warrant of arrest against him. The Manila Trial Court Branch 15 has ordered the arrest of Teves and his co-accused in connection with the murder of Governor Roel Digamo and 9 others last month. As Teves is hiding abroad, it is imperative that the PNP informs the Interpol of developments on Teves' case. PNP Public Information Office Chief Colonel Jean Fajardo said. She added that they are also seeking guidance from the Department of Justice on their courses of action, as Teves has been designated as a terrorist by the government. The PNP also has tracker teams from Criminal Investigation and Detection Group and other law enforcement units for Teves' co-accused suspects. There were reports Teves is in Timor-Leste, where the Philippines has no extradition treaty for fugitives. Moving on to our next top story. DTI rice price cap may last for a month. Report by Catherine Talavera and Bella Carriazo to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. The government is hoping that the imposition of the price ceiling on rice will not go beyond 1 month, as it expects prices of the staple food to stabilize in 3 weeks, according to an official of the Department of Trade and Industry. In an interview with Radio DZBB yesterday, DTI Assistant Secretary Agaton Libero said the government hopes that the implementation of the rice price ceiling on rice under Executive Order Number 39, which took effect last Tuesday, will not exceed a month. But it depends on the results of the implementation in the market, he said in Filipino. We see that in 3 weeks' time, the price will be a bit stable already. Under the executive order, the price ceiling for regular milled rice is set at 41 peso per kilo, while well-milled rice is at 45 peso per kilo. Based on the DTI's price monitoring operations, many retailers have complied with the price ceiling. When the harvest season starts in a few weeks, the local supply of rice is seen to increase, which will bring down the rice prices. According to Libero, he reiterated that the price ceiling does not cover premium rice. Meanwhile, the DTI is validating the list of retailers affected by the price ceiling's implementation so that they can receive financial assistance from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, he said. The DTI official expressed hope that the distribution of financial assistance will begin this week. Our target is before this week ends. The DSWD will begin the distribution of the assistance, he said at the Laging Handa briefing yesterday. He added that the financial assistance is expected to be around 15,000 peso per retailer. The DTI earlier said it has started the profiling of rice retailers that have been affected by the rice price ceiling implementation as the government prepares the financial aid. Uvero said the DTI, together with the Department of Agriculture, is collecting all the names of the retailers affected by the imposed rice price ceiling. The collected names would be forwarded to the DSWD. The DTI said it would implement various forms of assistance to rice retailers, wholesalers, including small supermarkets that will be affected by the price ceiling, in coordination with other government agencies and stakeholders. These include financial assistance, loan programs, logistics support, and market linkages support. It added that the government would likewise provide transportation in delivering rice from traders to retailers to reduce logistical costs. Market linkages will also be established to link local farmers with supermarket chains and other retailers and promote bulk buying or advance purchase of supermarkets, restaurants, hotels, resorts, and other commercial establishments. Not enough. For Farmers Group Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG, Chairman Rosendo So, the 15,000 assistance to rice retailers affected by the EO 39 is not enough, saying vendors should shoulder loss of at least 500 peso per sack because of the rise of the price ceiling. Our appeal is that the subsidy should be increased so that retailers will not suffer big losses. So said in a radio interview yesterday, noting a retailer sells at least 30 bags daily and that these rice stocks are bought at higher prices. The 15,000 pesos is too little. If a retailer loses 500 peso per sack, so added. The SINAG official mentioned that Northern Luzon millers started to deliver for 43 peso per kilo of rice to retailers last Tuesday. He added that the farm gate price of palay ranged between 23 pesos and 25 pesos per kilo. The rice price ceiling should be lifted after 1 month, as the peak of the palay harvest is expected next month, according to SAW. Based on our projection, by October 15, or 1 month and 10 days, the farm gate price of palay will reach 22 pesos and 23 pesos per kilo. The retail prices of rice are expected to go down to 43 and 44 per kilo, he said. He added that farmers could earn 50,000 peso per hectare if the farm gate price of palay will remain at 22 pesos and 23 pesos per kilo, which net income is higher compared to the 35,000 to 40,000 income of farmers during the last harvest. Compliance. Rice Retailers Group, Grains Retailers Confederation of the Philippines, or GRECON, vowed compliance with EO 39 but stressed that it should be temporary. In a radio interview yesterday, GRECON National President James Magbanwa disclosed that he would meet with his group's regional leaders to explain the current situation. The national government assured assistance to our retailers, so negative reaction was lessened. I have yet to talk to all. I have a meeting on Thursday in the Luzon area, the presidents of different regions, to explain to them, he said. He added that GRECON has more than 65,000 member retailers nationwide. While retailers were surprised by the EO issued by President Marcos, they will obey the decision as responsible citizens, according to Magbanwa. The Department of Budget and Management will likely tap contingent funds to provide assistance to rice retailers following the imposition of price cap on the commodity. Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman said DBM has yet to receive requests from concerned state agencies on the funding requirement for assistance. We will wait for the request of the implementing agency, Pangandaman said in a Viber message to the Star. I really don't know which department, because I just saw the statements of Speaker Martin Romualdez. This came after Romualdez directed the committee of the House of Representatives to find ways to allocate 2 billion pesos to help retailers and cope with possible losses. I think they will still study how the distribution will be and who will be the beneficiaries, Pangandaman said. If it's with the DSWD, I think they still have existing funds. Otherwise, we can tap possible standby funds like contingent funds. Parang hindi nag-uusap no? Parang hindi nag-uusap. Sell despite losses. Rice retailers in San Jose City, Nueva Ecija City, have been advised to sell their stocks even if it would incur losses in view of the price cap imposition last Tuesday. It doesn't matter if you incur losses a bit for the meantime. You've already earned before anyway. Mayor Mario Salvador said in Filipino last Monday, addressing retailers who sought his guidance. They were asking me if they should open. I told them, if they don't open, where would they get food from? Salvador added. San Jose City is home to at least 30 rice mill establishments that sell grains to Metro Manila and various parts of the country. Amid these developments, the government will heighten monitoring of rice prices in the market as inflation accelerated to 5.3% last month. Malacanang said yesterday, the National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, attributed the increase in the August inflation to the soaring prices of the staple food. Meanwhile, hoarding, profiteering, and cartel of agricultural products have been recommended by joint Senate committees to be included in the economic sabotage, a non-bailable offense. May nahuhuli naman kaya. Senator Cynthia Villar, who chairs the Senate Committee on Agriculture, is hopeful that the proposed measure will soon be passed in the Senate. Take note, soon. Joint Senate committees recommended the appeal of Republic Act 10845 or the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act of 2016 as part of the effort to address rampant and unabated agricultural smuggling in the country, which has greatly affected farmers, fisherfolk, and consumers. With additional reports from Louis Maureen Simeon, Rick Sapno, Helen Torres, and Cecil Suerte Felipe. Kakatawa naman itong report na to, no? Parang, parang hindi nag-uusap-usap yung mga nasa sangay ng gobyerno natin. Naghihintay lang sila ng mga press releases at doon magbabase kung gagawin o hindi. Kung gagawin o hindi. Good morning po kay Roy Arvin Razon. Thanks for watching. At kay Sister Grace Bernales. Sister, kumusta na dyan sa Bohol? Nag-enjoy kasi yung bakasyon. Moving on to our next headline. Senate to review confidential funds of OVP DepEd Zubiri. Isa na naman po itong moro-moro. Report by Mark Jason Cayabyab to the Philippine Star. Maglalaro na naman po sila. Manila, Philippines. A Senate Oversight Committee will review the use of confidential funds of civilian agencies, including the controversial combined secret funds worth 650 million peso of Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte for her office and the Department of Education. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, who chairs the oversight panel, said they would determine if the funds were properly utilized based on the guidelines set in the 2015 Joint Circular. Oh, nag-i-enjoy si Sister Grace. Pasalubong namin dyan na piyaya. Sister, pag-uwi mo. O piyaya ba meron dyan? O yung sugba. Ano ba yun? Yung saging. In the joint circular of the Department of Budget and Management, Department of Interior and Local Government, Department of National Defense, Governance Commissions for GOCC, and Commission on Audit, confidential expenses are allocated to civilian government agencies for their civilian surveillance activities that support their mandate and operations. During the Senate budget deliberations on the office of the Vice President and DepEd last Monday, Duterte said the OVP can live without the confidential funds, although it could help the office in implementing its projects and activities. Meanwhile, DepEd spokesman Michael Powa said the agency needed the surveillance funds to monitor alleged communist recruitment in public schools. Parang na rin pala kayo, no? Armed Forces na rin pala yung Sangay pala ng Armed Forces ang DepEd, nakalimutan ko. Sorry. At a press briefing yesterday, Zubiri said the Oversight Committee convened for the first time for an organizational meeting to discuss its rules and functions. According to the adopted rules, the Select Oversight Committee can examine the use of all confidential and intelligence funds and require the presence of agency heads to justify the use of their secret funds. While confidential funds are granted to civilian agencies, intelligence funds are given to military and security personnel for their intelligence information gathering on matters of national security. Yun naman dapat eh. The Oversight Committee hearing was held in an executive session as it involved matters of national security. We assure everyone that the majority and minority are working hand in hand to ensure that these funds are put to proper use, Subiri said. He added that there were improper uses of these funds, such as its use to relocate informal settler families by an agency, which he refused to name. Yun eh. The Senate President remarked that the Office of the President has submitted a comprehensive report on the use of his confidential fund. Asked if the OVP has submitted a similar comprehensive report on the use of his 500 million peso confidential fund, Subiri said, no comment. He added that the Oversight Committee has only gone to the broad strokes of government agencies' confidential funds use. Yun eh. The public's criticism is why do civilian agencies have more confidential funds than actual intelligence agencies? Tama lang naman, di ba na magtanong? That is part of the review we're doing, Subiri said. Should agencies fail to justify the use of their confidential funds, he emphasized that there is a big possibility, big possibility lang po, huwag kayong masyadong umasa dyan, that the Senate may realign their proposed secret fund for 2024 to other agencies such as the Philippine Coast Guard. Yung nangangailangan ng mga bagong barko. To augment is 10 million peso lang yung kanila. Grabe, oh. Hindi na kayo nahiya. 10 million intelligence fund which has not been increased since 2009. Yun dapat ang dinadagdagan. The Philippine Coast Guard and other security agencies as well as the country's cybersecurity backbone may need the secret funding more amid threats to the country's sovereignty by the Chinese Coast Guard and maritime vessels intruding in Philippine waters, according to Zubiri. Tama naman dapat di ba? We feel that these are interesting times. We need to give budget to cybersecurity. The Philippines is very vulnerable to cyber attacks, he said. The Oversight Committee, however, has not discussed the alleged illegal use of 125 million peso confidential funds for the OVP last year, which it charged to be contingent funds from the OP, Subiri added. Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Pimentel III and Opposition Senator Rizal Tiveros flagged the OVP's use of confidential funds in 2022 using the 221.4 million peso contingent funds from the Office of the President, even though the OVP has no line item for confidential funds in the 2022 General Appropriations Act. Ontiveros also questioned the DepEd's use of its 150 million peso confidential funds to conduct surveillance activities on public schools. Para kayong Philippine Constabulary. I support the DepEd's goal of making our places for learning safe. However, government efforts should not trample on the rights of our innocent and vulnerable students, teachers, parents, and school personnel, she said in a statement yesterday. I wish to remind the DepEd that the government has the primordial duty of fostering an environment of freedom and dignity for our young students based on both local and international laws. Keeping our children safe includes keeping them away from potential abuse associated with state surveillance, she added. Yun, peanut kisses. Yun, peanut kisses na lang. Sige, Sister Grace. Thank you very much. Pasalubong no? Yung aming Sister Grace kasalukuyang nagbabakasyon sa Bohol. Moving on to our global top story. DNA evidence clears U.S. man of rape charge 47 years later. Report from Agence France Press to the Philippine Star. New York, United States. A U.S. man who served 47 and a half years in prison for a rape he did not commit has been cleared nearly 5 decades later thanks to new DNA evidence, authorities said Tuesday. Leonard Mack, now 72. Leonard Mack, now 72, was arrested in 1975 in Greenburgh, New York State, after the rape of a teenage girl who had been walking home from school with another girl. Police announced a search for a black suspect in the mostly white neighborhood and shortly after picked up Mack, who is African American. After a campaign by the Innocence Project, DNA evidence not available at the time has conclusively excluded 72-year-old Mr. Mack as a perpetrator and identified a convicted sex offender who has now confessed to the rape. The Westchester County Prosecutor's Office said in a statement, "This is the longest wrongful conviction in U.S. history known to the Innocence Project to be overturned by DNA evidence," the District Attorney's Office said, citing Mack's unwavering strength fighting to clear his name for almost 50 years. According to the National Registry of Exonerations, 575 wrongly convicted people have been cleared based on new DNA tests since 1989, 35 of them while waiting for execution. Researchers say that black suspects are far more likely to be subjects of wrongful convictions than innocent white people. Although black people account for only 13.6% of the total US population, more than half of the 3,300 people whose convictions were overturned between 1989 and 2022 were black, the National Registry of Exoneration said. Reacting to his exoneration, Max said, "I am finally free." Buti naman po at napawalang sala na itong si Mac after 47 years. Wow. Moving on to our regional stories. NPD probes Valenzuela road rage incident. Report by Emmanuel Tupas to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. Police are investigating another road rage incident in Metro Manila wherein the driver of a sport utility vehicle threatened another motorist with a handgun. The incident, which happened in Barangay Bignay in Valenzuela City on August 19, involved the drivers of a Toyota Fortuner and a taxi cab. Lawyer Raymond Fortune shared a video clip of the incident on his Facebook page on Tuesday night. South for comment, Northern Police District Director Brigadier General Rizalito Gapas said yesterday he has ordered a probe of the incident. The investigation is ongoing, Gapas said in Filipino in a text message. In the video, the SUV motorist was seen cocking his firearm as he confronted the taxi driver. The suspect then pushed the victim, boarded the SUV, and left the scene. Fortune has urged the Land Transportation Office to look into the incident involving the driver of the vehicle with license plate NBB 3135. The lawyer said the taxi driver has not reached out to him for assistance. I will not represent him. There are other equally good and upstanding lawyers who are willing to do what is best for the country, Fortune said in a text message. It was Fortune who revealed the gun-toting incident involving dismissed policeman Wilfredo Gonzalez and a cyclist in Quezon City, which also happened last month. After a video of the incident which went viral on social media platforms, Gonzalez was pilloried by the public. Siyempre naman, pag-asal hayop ka ba naman eh. Para po sa mga nagre-renew ng mga lisensya na kagaya ko, LTO to extend driver's licenses by 1 year. Report by Romina Cabrera to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. The Land Transportation Office is set to extend the validity of driver's licenses up to June 2024 as its plastic card supply deal faces a bump on the road. LTO Chief Vigor Mendoza said yesterday that the agency is set to release a memorandum granting an automatic 1-year extension for driver's licenses that expired in June 2023 in anticipation of the worst-case scenario. The extension will be valid for 1 year or until lifted by the LTO once the license card situation normalizes. The LTO is facing a legal battle over its 240 million peso plastic card contract after a losing bidder questioned the deal before a Quezon City court. A Quezon City Regional Trial Court issued a temporary restraining order on the contract wherein winning bidder Banner Plastic Card Incorporated was supposed to deliver a total of 5.2 million cards by February 21 next year. Our supplier cannot move because of the TRO, Mendoza said. The TRO will expire today if the court does not issue a preliminary injunction against the deal, after which the supplier could deliver the plastic cards, he noted. Mendoza said that the LTO will inform law enforcers, including the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, for the extension order once it is issued. Meanwhile, the LTO also vowed to review the enforcement of Temporary Operators Permit or TOP. He said he noted that policies regarding the TOP, which should be valid for 72 hours from its apprehension, should be harmonized with Joint Administrative Order number 2014-01, which provides for the revised schedule of fines and penalties. And completing our top stories for the regional. 30 families homeless in Quiapo fire, report by Gio to the Philippine Star. Good morning, Admin Sol. Thanks for joining me. Manila, Philippines. At least 30 families were left homeless when a fire gutted a 3-story residential building in Quiapo, Manila yesterday morning. The fire reached second alarm at approximately 6:23 a.m., around 6 minutes after it started at the Padpo building along Globo de Oro Street in Barangay 384, according to the Bureau of Fire Protection and the Manila Police District's Barbosa Station. The blaze could have started at the building's rooftop, the NPD said. The crews of 10 fire trucks and an ambulance were at the scene, the BFP said. Manila Fire Department Chief Superintendent Christine Pula declared the fire under control at around 7:18 a.m. and put out just before 8 a.m. The property damage caused by the fire is estimated at 225,000 pesos, the BFP said, adding that no one was reported killed or injured in the fire. Okay, moving on to our sports updates. Relentless Canada proves Arsenal in semis berth clinching win versus Slovenia, report by Dino Maragay for the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. A confident Canada coach, Jordi Fernandez, raved over his team's elite capability on both ends of the court as they punched their first ever ticket to the FIBA World Cup semifinals with a 189 win over Luka Doncic and Slovenia Wednesday night. NBA star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of Oklahoma City recorded a game-high 31 points, while another NBA stalwart, New York's RJ Barrett, scattered 24 points and pulled down 9 rebounds as the Canadians completed the semifinals cast. They did not have it easy though, as they had to deal with the threat posed by Doncic's scoring and playmaking capability. The game was neck and neck in the first 2 quarters, and Canada was unable to create significant separation until over 3 minutes into the third period, when Houston Rocket Dillon Brooks knocked down a three-pointer to put them ahead, 59-52. Brooks, Gilgus Alexander, and Barrett led their team in keeping Slovenia at bay with an equal amount of offensive and defensive efforts, something Fernandez stressed as a reason they made it this far in the tournament. Everybody sees Shea's points, which is good, he's very good, but he led the game in rebounding, 10, and he had 4 assists to 1 turnover, Fernandez said at the post-game conference. Fernandez is just delighted to have more weapons at his disposal. But it's not just shy. That's his job. His job is to defend, play make, and score. The Canadian mentor continued, also citing Brooks' defensive intensity is helping frustrate Doncic. Dallas franchise player ended up being ejected in the final 6:37 of the game after netting a second technical foul due to repeated complaining. Everybody else has a job in his team. And I think our guys like Dylan, his role today, he did it at high level. RJ Kelly said Fernandez. Now Canada is marching to the semis, oozing with the confidence they gained from an impressive campaign in the tournament's staging in Jakarta, Indonesia, where they finished with a 4-1 record, including a pulsating 88-85 ouster of former world champion Spain. And that's all thanks to the team's depth and attitude, according to Fernandez. And at the end of the day, this team is relentless. We've shown it in Jakarta, and we're showing it here too. Fernandez and the rest of the Team Canada are 2 wins away from a coveted gold medal, and they look to make it to the final dance by beating Serbia on Friday. The USA and Germany will dispute the other finals berth. Yun po yung ating FIBA World Cup update. And that completes our top stories for today, September 7, 2023, Thursday. And here again is a summary of our top stories for today. PNP seeks Interpol help in Tevez manhunt. DTI rice price cap may last for a month. Senate to review confidential funds of OBP, DepEd, Zubiri. DNA evidence clears U.S. man of rape charge 47 years later. NPD probes Valenzuela road rage incident. LTO to extend driver's licenses by 1 year. 30 families homeless in Quiapo fire. And finally, update from the FIBA World Cup. Relentless Canada proves Arsenal in semis worth clinching win versus Slovenia. Okay? Again, maraming salamat po doon sa mga sumali sa ating ngayong umaga, sa ating mga TikTok viewers, sa ating mga YouTube viewers, at sa ating FB viewers din. No? Maraming salamat sa inyong pagsali sa akin ngayong umaga. Maraming salamat po. Kay Favorite Baker Richel, kay Roy Arvin Rason, kay Grace, Sister Grace, kay Admin Sol. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagsali ngayong umaga. And please join me again tomorrow as we host our regular MSB Kape at Balita sa umaga. And yung pong ating Saturday na program, Magkasangga sa Buhay, malamang po may advance po natin. Either gagawin po natin Friday or Sunday po, no? Depending po doon sa availability ng ating guest. So wala po ngayong Sabado, ma-adjust po yung ating regular Saturday program either earlier or on Sunday. Again, maraming salamat po. Bago po kayo pumasok ngayong araw na ito, magbaon na rin po kayo ng payong, no? Mga pagkubli sa ulan kasi kagaya po kahapon, umaraw pero bandang hapon umulan din. Kaya better safe than sorry ka nga nila. Mag-ready na rin po tayo kasi alam naman po natin yung panahon ngayon medyo medyo erratic na. Hindi natin masisiguro kung maghapon yung araw. So baka po bigla-bigla na lang uulan. So yan po, maraming salamat po uli and God bless everyone.